I will acknowledge you only once. There will be no second moment in this video. You will be background garnish, and that is it. Nobody will say red, nobody will say sus, nobody will say imposter. Are we clear? Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Doujinshi, and welcome back to another episode of Hentai Reviews, the only series where every once in a while somebody will ask me, what do you like to do in your off time? And I tell them I do something that I'm not very proud of, which is a bold-faced lie. I am proud of every single fucking one of these videos. Don't know what that says about me, but I'm happy about it. Hey, just a brief interruption. I know this will be gone really soon. If you like these videos, subscribe. If you like the video, you don't have to, but you can. Please subscribe. I really like doing this, and I would appreciate getting more people into this. Subscribe. I do these once a week. I'm always here. All right, back to the video. Let's go ahead and get into today's review. So, in today's episode, we are going to be reviewing episode 1 of Enbo, Taboo Charming Mother, episode 1. And this little one is done by our friends over at MS Pictures, who, honestly, they don't really pop up too much unless we're doing ones that have an older, early 2000s to early 90s sort of style when it comes to animation. So, chef's kiss on that one. Running at about 28 minutes and 48 seconds with a total of 10 categories, notable of which are incest, otherwise known as Alabama, and a bondage and MILF kink to run alongside them. With, how can I put it, probably, have I been doing a lot of incest lately? Let's not worry about that. Let's get into the actual thing. Let's start with the animation. Now, what can I really say about something that was made at this time of the generation where they were putting in a little bit of effort here and there? Well, the animation itself is pretty sharp, honestly. It stays at a consistent above ground level and just holds the line for such a long time, running at 28.5 minutes, hell, mostly 29 minutes at this point. It really feels like it's continuing at its own pace to having just consistently good animation. There's nothing really great, but it's one of those ones where not only does the art style help it, but it's the fluid motions of the art style that help it really just solidify the fact that it continues at a strong rate. 7 out of 10 would probably be my best rating when it comes to it, which I'm no expert in animation, but I mean, it's damn good. Early 2000s really just had something going when it came to the products they were pushing out. Early anime, early hentai, early anything 2000s had just something to it. I don't know what it is. There's a fluidness that was back then. Now it's a little bit more CG, but there's not really much I can say other than that. 7 out of 10 is going to be my rating for the animation. And now on to, honestly, probably my favorite portion in this entire episode, really, the story. Now, the story is a little risque, at least for the stuff that I've done. There have been some, harder ones that came on earlier in my series, but this one feels like it's a bit strong. But let's go ahead and get into that. You see, the story revolves around Misako, the main character, the wife to an aloof husband, Yosuke, who really just works nonstop and really has no time for her being a housewife who does a damn good job for a lot of the stuff that I've seen, and their stepson together. Let's go ahead and form this on stepson. We're all clear? Stepson, Kazuhiko, and he's, that age of someone where they're just they don't talk to anybody, they push everyone else away, they go in and out, they really don't have any conversations with their parents, that age. But what happens with her is she's left alone at a constant neglectful rate, and she is accosted a lot by a perverted stalker who calls her regularly and slowly whittles down her own self-control with perverted thoughts, with actions that really just, excite the stuff that's in her, while really just formulating the fact that the father in this scenario doesn't really help out with anything because he's gone so long, until it eventually leads to her having nothing going around but this caller, and then succumbs to a lot of the advances that he makes while doing all the things that he says over the phone and enjoying it in the process. until she eventually gets caught by her stepson near the end. Now, when it comes to stories in, well, hentai, it's not exactly a big thing to expect something like this, but this is a porn plot done well, I'd say. There's intrigue in the length of it, how the person just slowly whittles them away. The scenes themselves really show off how there is a bit of degradation that comes into being throughout this entire thing, and it really just holds the story together. Like, I enjoyed it because I viewed it as more of a crime plot that led into something a little bit darker towards the end. There's something about it, I don't know, just the feeling of zero stimulation leads to overstimulation. Just something about it really just kicks it into gear for me, and I really liked this one. I don't know why. Maybe it was the length of just not trying to shove a ton of stuff into a short one. Maybe it just gave it that extra push. I'm probably going to give this story an 8 out of 10 because it's engaging for the long amount of time, and the scenes themselves add to the weight of how much it's slowly corrupting her to having more and more less based in reality thoughts. And 8 out of 10 is a solid one for me. Damn, I really like this one. Now let's go ahead and get into what we're all really here for, the plot. And now, the plot, which honestly is very interesting for this one because there is the noticeable tag of incest in this. Now, I don't necessarily know how much of it is consistent with it, but a lot of it really revolves around the kind of just want for a character that leads into the tag. Now, that's the big thing for it. And a lot of this is, how can I say, self-induced, how can I say? That sort of way. Now, let's get into really the first scene of the thing. We'll see the first scene goes from 10 minutes and 50 seconds and goes all the way to 17 minutes on the dot, really being the first time the main character succumbs really to what the mysterious caller is kind of saying, because there's a lot of draw in it that leads up to this moment, and you're probably thinking 10 minutes and 50 seconds. That's a lot. It is. Now, this 10 minutes that it brings us towards is really her kind of denying a lot of what's going on. It really builds up the tension to her kind of just having nothing but herself to go off of, or get off of, as we can say. And I think this is a solid opening for it because it's a lot of her just like really understanding that there is a baseline to start at, and then it moves into the second scene, which is just a little bit later. Now, you see the second scene, it starts at 17 minutes and 15 seconds. It goes all the way to 18 minutes and 20 seconds. And this is a really, I know it's only 15 seconds after, but it feels like a different one altogether because it is a full montage of just her really accepting that as somebody who has had no stimulation for a while due to a busy husband and a neglectful son, probably shouldn't count the son in things that you can have sex with until like later on in the plot, especially when she's kind of just a normal person all the way up until then. But this point right here is a big montage of just her accepting that she has no stimulation and overstimulates in a very, very strong way, leading into her being a little bit more accepting of a lot of the grosser, more taboo title drop of all the different things that she can actually do with her time. And then it leads into the final scene of the whole thing, running from 20 minutes and 35 seconds all the way to 26 minutes and 55 seconds. Now, this one is a little bit more content filled because this one involves the son who catches her in the act after she catches him doing his own self-service with her undergarments, and the caller having not been there through the second scene because the caller slowly started to fade away and fade away and fade away, kind of letting her be her own worst enemy when it comes to the depravity sinkhole, and then coming back at the very end only for her to yearn for him to show up, because an audience is something that can be craved during these moments. And just the growth of it all into the final scene that runs 6 minutes and 20 seconds of just her at her lowest, which could increase it further, because there are a few episodes past this, and I'm kind of interested to know which each one is for. So, what would I rate all of these? Now, the plot is focused around some taboo tags. Now, the thing about them isn't that they're bad, it's that they're underutilized in a few different ways. We can say MILF all we want. The only reason she is one is because she's classified as a mother, even though stepmother. And then incest is really more of an afterthought because it is mostly a thought through this whole thing of the characters wanting to be together but never actually being together. This could have a few different ones, but there's not really anything strong that holds those tags in. And that's kind of all I've got for it. The scenes we do have with what they're given is tension filled, and it really elevates it, which just makes it so good. But it underutilizes the real spice that it has. Imagine having like cayenne pepper when you're making chili, but you like just a pinch of it instead of like loading that motherfucker up. That's really what it feels like. It's there, but it's not committing to it, which I'm hoping is what the second episode does, where it really just dumps that shit in, where some things can suffer more, but I'm here for the spice. I'm here for that shit that I'm not supposed to have in large quantities, but ooh, it feels good when it does. So yeah, the plot itself, I'd give a 7 out of 10. Nothing special, but damn good and consistent with what it has, which feels like I'm hitting stuff recently that has a lot of middle of the ground, or at least everything's consistent through it. But let's see if I can change that with the next episode. So let's get to the overall, shall we? Fuck it, I'm keeping that in. The first one sells it with what's going on, and then the next one's elevated. That is my big one. For this, it does a good job as a first episode. We have the concept and we have the quality of it. Now, certain things can dip and raise as we go into the next episodes, but I have faith in this one to just push upwards with the spice as the other things take a more back seat. But damn if I wouldn't love it if it would have just continued with the 7s in one place and the spice raised up just a little bit more. Oh, this would be so good. But yeah, 7 out of 10 for a really good start. Hopefully it can just ramp up what it has in the name, so it can just, come on, if you have the tags, why not go balls out with them? 7 out of 10 could be an 8, hell, a 9. Or you go all out and then you hit that 10 out of sheer audacity of how you use the tags. Come on, it's right there. But yeah, I'm calling it there. Thank you everybody for being here. Honestly, thank you everybody for being here. It has been a pleasure to make these videos. I forgot to do the research for my next episode that I was going to do a little bit ago, so I had to use this one, which I had made a while ago when I had some like energy that boosted me up, that I felt like I wanted to make another one of these. So it's I had to like refresh myself when making this, but it is really nice to be in these sorts of things. Thank you everybody for being here. It has been an honor, and thank you everybody for sticking around and the new people that have shown up. So, closing remarks. Thank you everybody for being here. And remember, don't be a dick. There's too many of them. Have a nice day and wash your fucking hands. I mix those up, not on purpose.